Gutrush here, and I had the opportunity to experience the DarkTide closed beta and am here to share a few of my thoughts. I want to first add a disclaimer that this was a beta for Fat Shark and absolutely not a first look into the full release, which is at the time of this video only about a month away. I saw a few complaints about lacking content, but a percentage that I don't want to make up right now was left out on purpose. For instance, we had only 4 missions available to us, so of course the environments did get a little repetitive. The full game, however, will supposedly have 19 missions in all, which sounds like plenty enough to me. Hopefully this also extends to the settings menu, as many common options were missing in this closed beta. The most relevant to me being mouse sensitivity. As anyone who knows me can attest, I typically have my sensitivity set quite high as I am a fragile shell of a man, but prefer my mouse sensitivity low so I can at least feel like I aim better between emotional episodes. You might ask, why didn't I adjust my mouse settings outside of the game? Because I'm simply not going to rush into that kind of commitment. I'm getting anxious over the very thought. The lack of options here did make aiming a bit awkward for me, and as a result I opted for melee much more than I should. Which is a bit of a shame, as DarkTide aims to have more ranged combat to suit the 40k universe as opposed to Vermintide 2, which heavily favored melee combat, at least with most classes. I definitely feel like they achieved a great balance between melee and ranged here. Ranged weapons now have significantly more ammo compared to Vermintide 2, and ammo pickups were common enough you can shoot rather freely, as any good Ogryn should. And speaking of Ogrins, I didn't actually play as one. I'll certainly play one eventually, as having multiple characters to play was definitely one of my favorite aspects of Vermintide 2. Anyways, I spent all my time well by investing all of it into playing as the Psyker, and felt adequately rewarded for doing so. The Psyker is Warhammer 40k's somewhat futuristic version of a wizard, their wizardly powers being making heretics' heads explode. This does not get old, and in fact gets even better when you have multiple Psykers on your team causing multiple heads to explode simultaneously. I can only imagine how terrifying this would be for our enemies, suddenly seeing half your squad gripping their heads and screaming in agony just before their heads explode and get all over those unfortunate souls still living. Temporarily living, at least. But in retrospect, I suppose that may just be an average day in Warhammer 40k. On the visual front of this Warhammer 40k game, they've absolutely nailed the 40k look and feel. It's gritty, it's dark, it's grim. Hell, you might even call it grimdark, but know that if you do, I will judge you for it. This is exactly how I want to experience Warhammer 40k. That is to say, through a monitor with adorable animal pictures displayed prominently on a separate monitor a mere glance away. Gore is ramped up because why wouldn't it be? After all, this is a universe where chainsaw swords, or chain swords, are not only a thing, but a prominently used thing. You can expect that flesh and blood are going to get everywhere. And they do. There were definitely performance issues, which seemed to be experienced by most players. Hopefully this is not indicative of what we'll see in the full release, as this is definitely a game I want all the frames I can get. Sound design is equally well done, with the music probably being the element that impressed me the most. Fat Shark knows how to handle music well, as they have already shown us with Vermintide 2, and they have not let us down in DarkTide. Voice lines were also great, though admittedly did not have as much character as the Ubersreich 5 had from Vermintide 2. That said, this is an important difference in DarkTide. You're not playing a character through a story, you're playing your character through your story. This might honestly get us more attached to our characters, but that remains to be seen. Anyways, I've had enough of my thoughts, and I'm sure you have too, likely somewhere around the start of this video. But if you did make it all the way here, I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you have enjoyed this. I definitely enjoyed my time with the closed beta, and am excited for the upcoming full release of DarkTide. In fact, I've tried going back to Vermintide 2 to hold me over, and it only left me wanting to play DarkTide even more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, whether on the game or on the video itself, and if I've earned it, I definitely appreciate you clicking the like button to show your support of the video, and clicking the subscribe button to show your support of the channel. I'm going to leave off with a couple tips in case you do decide to play this game, and I say that knowing full well I am by no means an expert, as you may have already been able to deduce by the footage in this video. Stick together. This is a team game. Expert players may be able to handle everything on their own just fine, but for the rest of us, eradicating heresy is best done with friends by your side. And ping those specials. No, I'm not talking about your friends. I'm talking about the special enemies who can disable or potentially outright kill your character if you haven't quite gotten dodging down. Pinging enemies will highlight them so that the specials on your team know who to prioritize.